same people that are using those arguments are also now proposing laws to make it illegal to take a transgender kid out of the state to seek gender affirming care. And so it's all interconnected, and it's all part of a patriarchal system to define us by our reproductive capability and to use that to establish a gender hierarchy. And that's how it works.
It's so simple. That's all they want. The gender hierarchy. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry.
I know it's real.
I know, and you're just like, wow. It's gotta suck to be just like a cis, het, rich, white, old dude. I mean, it's great, but it's like, why? What the f- are you clinging to, bro? I get so mad.
That they have to force this so strongly shows how weak it really is, you know?
Yes, that's exactly right. That is exactly it, Aaron. I think that is the crux. That when I get down about this kind of stuff, I come back to the fact that, oh no, this is the last gasp of them. These trying to hold on and sort of institute hierarchies when we're imploding them.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I gotta tell you guys, the conservative movement has been extremely effective when it comes to fighting some aspects of the culture war, okay? Because the left has gotten way too extreme when it comes to certain parts of their agenda, particularly when it comes to the agenda to allow children to undergo sex change operations and therapies in order to transition their sex. I think most people with common sense understand that children are too young to be able to make these types of life-changing decisions at such a young age. Even if a parent is assisting them and supporting them in their transition, it simply does not make sense to put a child through something that they cannot really understand at such a young age when they can wait until they have a better ability to make a decision about what potentially is a permanent life-altering surgery or choice to inject hormones into their bodies, right? And I think that conservatives have pushed back against this so much that it is finally making headway here in the United States and the American medical system, because we know abroad in Europe, our counterparts, they've already stopped issuing sex change operations and gender affirming care because there's no scientific evidence or proof that it does any of the things that the left claims that it does. And the most screwed up part about this is that the left knows the realities of gender affirming care for children. The reason why we know this is because there was a bombshell leak from WPATH, which is the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. There was leaks showing that those doctors that are part of this organization know that there's no real standard for care, which is a lie that the left likes to tell us. Oh, there's a standard for care, right? We all know how to deal with this, okay? No. That these doctors actually were performing what could be defined as experimental treatments on children and people when it comes to this issue. And also, there's not informed consent when it comes to, how minors understand what they're going through, right? And that is something that these doctors acknowledge, that, hey, talking to a 14-year-old about potential fertility issues stemming from hormone treatments is like talking to a brick wall, right? They know that that child is not actually really able to comprehend and to fully understand the decision that is being made a lot of times on their behalf, right? Again, it's extremely messed up stuff. And now, lo and behold, you have the American College of Pediatricians coming out and calling out the woke capitalist American medical system for continuing to push gender affirming care on kids, despite the fact that there is mounting scientific evidence that, hey, this is not an effective way for helping these kids out, and this is something that we have to stop because it's actually more harmful for children than helpful. Take a look.
And we have serious concerns about the physical and mental health effects of the current protocols promoted for the care of children and adolescents in the United States who express discomfort with their biological sex. This declaration was authored by the American College of Pediatricians, but really it was developed from the expertise of hundreds of doctors, researchers, and other healthcare workers and leaders who, for years, have been sounding the alarm on the harmful protocols that continue to be promoted by the medical organizations in the United States. Despite recent revelations from the leaked WPATH files and the recent release of the final report from the CAS review, these medical organizations have not changed course. So we are calling on these medical organizations of the United States, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Endocrine Society, the Pediatric Endocrine Society, the American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, and the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry to follow the science and their European colleagues and immediately stop the promotion of social affirmation, puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries for children and adolescents who experience distress over their biological sex. In our declaration, we affirm that sex is a dimorphic, innate trait defined in relation to an organism's biological role in reproduction, male and female. This genetic signature is present in every nucleated somatic cell in the body and is not altered by drugs or surgical interventions. Consideration of these innate differences is critical to the practice of good medicine and to the development of sound policy for children and adults alike. Medical decision-making should be based upon an individual's biological sex. It should respect biological reality and the dignity of the person by compassionately addressing the whole person. We are here defying the claims made by these medical organizations in the US that those of us who are concerned are a minority and that their protocols are consensus. They are not consensus, and we are speaking in a loud, unified voice, enough.
Yeah, exactly. Now, again, what would the left say to these doctors who have spent years and years and years in medical school perfecting their craft, learning, studying, understanding these situations? Well, they must be transphobic, right? They're bigots because they are sounding the alarm on the potentially harmful effects of having a child transition, okay? I mean, it seems to me that we're in experimental territory when it comes to doing this with children, and it doesn't seem like that experiment is going well, right? It does not seem like the results that we're getting are the results that the left claimed, which is that, well, you know, hey, everything will be all good. All you got to do is just have a kid undergo some type of sex change operation or some type of hormone treatment, and, you know, hey, they're going to be good to go. They're going to be happy. Doesn't seem like that's the case, right? If that was the case, I don't think that you would have our European counterparts essentially shutting down this practice, or the American College of Pediatricians now coming out and sounding the alarm on this practice. But the reason why these American medical institutions are ignoring the science is because they know that there's a lot of money to be made off of each child or person, really, that undergoes these types of treatments and hormones. They're going to be a lifetime medical patient. They're going to have to continue to come back and come back and come back to get treatment due to the fact that, hey, we're putting unnatural levels of hormones in people's bodies in order to make their bodies do something that, again, their bodies aren't really supposed to do, right? And again, that means that they will have to continue to go back and seek treatment. And that's a whole lot of money for these hospitals, right? It's a whole lot of money, okay? It's probably a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's probably extremely profitable, and this is why they do it. This is why they push it despite the science saying otherwise, that, hey, you know what? We're not sure if there's benefits to this, or at the very least the benefits don't outweigh the potential harms. So with that being said, I want to play this news clip in which these doctors are going to follow up on their announcement here, and they're going to explain more about how they came to their conclusion of calling out these medical institutions, American medical institutions, that are still pushing gender surgery for minors.
Try and end gender surgeries for minors. The American College of Pediatricians wrote the declaration. It calls on American medical institutions to halt, quote, current harmful protocols promoted for children and adolescents who express discomfort with their biological sex. It has been co-signed by more than a dozen organizations, including the Catholic Medical Association. And for more, we're joined now in the studio by Dr. Jill Simons, Executive Director of the American College of Pediatricians, and Mario Dickerson, Executive Director of the Catholic Medical Association. Thank you to you both for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Dr. Simons, I want to start with you first. Why did you feel the need to write this declaration, and why now?
Well, the American College of Pediatricians for years has been sounding the alarm about the dangers of these protocols that our medical institutions and organizations are endorsing. And recent events in the last few months, namely the leak of the WPATH files and then the release of the CAS report in England, just had overwhelming evidence that these so-called gender-affirming care treatments should not continue. And we thought that our colleagues here in the U.S. would take heed and also do the same and put a pause, but they've not. They've continued. And so we just came together as a coalition of medical doctors, organizations, and said enough.
Yeah. Why do you think that?
Yeah. So, what really blows my mind about this, right, from the left and hypocrisy here, is that when it comes to oil companies, right, they say, well, you're doing harm to the planet. And you can't continue to pump oil. You can't continue to use fossil fuels because that is dangerous, right? It's harmful. But the only reason you're continuing to do it is because of capitalism, right? Because capitalism, according to them, is evil, right? This is what the left says. This is the argument, okay? But when it comes to this right here, though, all of that kind of goes out the window because, again, the evidence is suggesting that, hey, there's more harm to this than benefit, okay? But yet, they're doing it anyways because of capitalism, because they're trying to make money. They know they can make money off of it. However, the left is silent on the capitalistic nature of what is happening when it comes to gender surgeries for minors, right? They're silent on it. They ain't got nothing to say about it because it goes along with their agenda, what they want. And this is why I call what we're seeing here woke capitalism, right? It is the left weaponizing capitalism to push their agenda, even though normally they're against this type of stuff, right? But because, again, it agrees with their agenda and they know that, okay, well, doctors can make money, pushing our agenda here. All right, cool. We're going to embrace it, right? We're going to go along with it.
It's happening. I mean, why do you think this agenda is sort of still pushing forward despite medical evidence otherwise?
It's a good question, and I don't know if I have the answer. There's probably many reasons why this is so entrenched, and doctors, smart doctors, are not listening and seeing what we're seeing and making the same conclusions. We know a lot of physicians are afraid to speak out because they're being reprimanded or threatened, even loss of job. So we know a lot of physicians are staying silent because of that. But we're hoping that with our leadership that doctors will step out of the sidelines and speak up and say enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. Again, it's money, right? It's also money on top of that. Yes, social stigma or, they say, oh, you're transphobic or whatever. Yeah, that will definitely happen for sure. Okay. Because there are doctors that have been pressured into, going along with pronouns and going along with this stuff. And I just don't think it's the smartest thing to do in a medical setting where biology does, in fact, matter, right? I don't think that it's the smartest thing to do, personally.
And you had a lot of people that co-signed, a lot of organizations as well, like the Catholic Medical Organization. Tell us a little bit more, association that is. Mario, tell us why CMA decided to sign on to this. Why was it so important?
Absolutely. At the heart of it is protecting children. That's first and foremost. There's, I think there's a study that it's, 1%, it affects 1% of the children in the United States, 72 million children in the United States, so that's 720,000 children. But they're the children at the bus stops, they're the children, neighbors down the street. I have 6 children. A lot of children might be struggling and not expressing it. And so we're really advocating for the children is the primary reason. But certainly, we have physicians who have been persecuted as well, threatened with termination of employment for not, caving into some of these mandates that are coming out.
Yeah, and do you know, are you aware, are there any Catholic hospitals that are taking part in this type of treatment?
Right, I'm not aware of any Catholic hospitals that are doing that, but we would certainly encourage them to sign this declaration and just reassure their patients that they are standing on the side of not doing any harm to their children and just making a public statement. There's, I think it's, 10% of the Catholic hospitals in the United States in 1995, and in 2016, it's 16% of the hospitals in the United States are Catholic. So if the Catholic hospitals and healthcare systems were to sign on to this document, I think it would make a tremendous impact in healthcare in general in the United States.
Absolutely, very important. Dr. Simons, what do you hope comes from this, and what do you think will happen if we don't sort of reverse course on this type of treatment for children?
Well, I'm very optimistic. I have faith in my colleagues, pediatricians and physicians around the country, that we're going to do the right thing. I think a lot of people either are afraid or are, just not paying attention, and so this declaration is meant to get the message out there loud and clear. So I remain very optimistic that this is going to turn around.
Yeah, well, again, I hope so as well, too. Again, we're seeing that happen in Europe. Let's hope that the American healthcare system follows suit. But who knows? Again, I personally think that the main reason why they're getting on board with this is because it's a money train, right? They see the market here, and they don't care about their morals and values, right? All they care about is, okay, well, hey, we can make some money off of this. We all personally know that this is experimental, that, we're not really giving informed consent because a 14-year-old doesn't really understand what they're going through when you're talking about potentially losing the ability to have children in the future, right? They don't understand that. They don't know how to make a decision like that. But again, a lot of these doctors, they don't care. They're just going to try to get their money, and that's it. Because that's much easier than standing up to the mob and then being called a transphobe or a bigot or potentially losing your job because you don't want to do harm to children, right? Because you want to do the right thing, which is to do no harm. Okay, this is what doctors are supposed to do, but unfortunately, our medical system has been taken over by woke activists and not honest medical professionals and scientists. Hey, I'm hoping that this changes in the future once the evidence becomes overwhelming, which I believe that the evidence already is overwhelming. But once it becomes so overwhelming that even the woke activists can't deny it, I'm hoping that we get to a point where we actually have some common sense when it comes to this issue. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.